Congested and crammed, the Ivy League standings look a lot like rush hour traffic. But tonight, Tom Schreiber and 13th-ranked Princeton can secure their place in the Ivy League tourney. Devin Dwyer and Harvard, though, look to play spoiler. Princeton and Harvard next. Welcome to Old Spice College Lacrosse, and welcome to Class of 1952 Stadium in Princeton, New Jersey. The 13th-ranked Princeton Tigers take on the Harvard Crimson. Both teams 2-2 in the Ivy League, a pivotal conference game for a couple of ancient 8 rivals. And when you take a look at the Ivy League standings, Cornell, the bellwether, the rest of the flock trying to search for a semblance of order. The top 4 teams in the Ivy get to go to the conference tournament. The regular season champ serves as the host of the conference tournament. Anaïs Schroff here with former Princeton attackman and former All-American Ryan Boyle. And Princeton sort of sums up the Ivy League this year. With just a few games left in the regular season, they can still host the Ivy League tournament or miss it completely. But needless to say, for both Harvard and Princeton, the postseason, if it hasn't started already for them, it starts now.
Yeah, and both control their own destiny. The Ivy League incredibly competitive this year. Despite that, I think both of these teams need to win the Ivy League tournament in order to get in the NCAA championship. So, as you said, critical game tonight.
Princeton can get into the Ivy League tournament with a win today. They're relying on a new goalie, though.
Huge move here, taking out O'Connor, the freshman, inserting Sandstrom. You know, you can see he's only got 1 start in his career. Krieger, meanwhile, on the other side, a stalwart, 4-year goalie, tons of experience. The game could come down to this matchup right here.
Now, before we get you to face off, let's go to Princeton public address announcer Bob Brumberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, this past week has been a trying one for all Americans. This evening, as Princeton University welcomes its visitors from Boston, it sends along a wish for swift healing there so that your home can return to the vibrant, beautiful city that we all know it to be. At this time, we ask you to please rise and observe a moment of silence in memory of the victims from the incidents in Texas and all those who have been affected by the bombings in Boston, especially the 3 killed by the blast at the marathon. 8-year-old Martin Richard, 23-year-old Lou Lindsay, and 29-year-old Crystal Campbell, and a murdered MIT police officer, 26-year-old Sean Collier.
Thank you.
Monday's bombings caused Harvard to cancel its practice on Patriots Day. Crimson head coach Chris Wojcik then addressed the team on Tuesday. And for the rest of the season, Harvard's going to wear a decal on its helmet as a tribute to those affected by the Boston Marathon bombings. And there is the decal on the helmets of each of the Harvard players, Boston Marathon, and then the date of the event, 4/15/13. Chris Bates, the head coach for the Princeton Tigers in his 4th season, 11 games over 500. Princeton has lost 2 of its last 3. They were 6-2 at one point. Lost a 1-goal heartbreaker against Syracuse at home a couple of weeks ago. Then beat Rutgers by 5. Chris Bates didn't really like his team's effort in that game, though. And then really a bad loss in their last game against Dartmouth.
And I just want to point out the class and camaraderie that just took place there with both coaching staffs embracing each other. I think that's indicative of how the lacrosse community interacts with each other, the camaraderie, the close-knit community, and that just being a prime example of that.
This Harvard lacrosse game, the only Harvard event taking place today for Eric Sandstrom. This is only his 2nd career start. He's played a little more than 3 minutes all season. This year, he's only faced 3 shots. Now in a critical game, he starts in the cage for Princeton. As Ryan mentioned earlier, Harry Krieger, a 4-year starter. He's been a rock in goal for the Crimson this season, playing very well of late. Second in the Ivy League in save percentage, first in saves per game. Senior day here at Princeton at Class of 1952 Stadium. As we go to the face-off X. Rick Mollet against Bobby Lucas. And Princeton wins the opening draw.
A couple things to point out. Chris White back in the lineup, as is Ryan Ambler. And Princeton's thin to begin with. Missing those guys for a few games is very difficult. Having them back is huge.
Chris Bates told us how it affected practice, not having the healthy bodies. Of course, you're not going to get much pity from Harvard. They lost 7 sophomores at the start of the season. Their top returning scorer, Daniel Ike, out for the year. So they've been practicing and playing with a short deck pretty much all season.
35 guys is a lot, is very difficult. It's not a lot, and to have practice and grueling practice, that's challenging.
Here is Jeff Fricaro, one of the seniors on senior day. Kip Orban working on the short stick for Fioravanti. Orban unloads, it's turned away by Krieger and scooped up by Joe Petrucci. Good ride there by Princeton to force the turnover. Schreiber out in front to Fricaro. He has it knocked away. Harvard ball.
Solid early possession there, I think, for both sides. If you're Princeton, you gotta like the pick action and then the shot you generate. Great to see Krieger come up with that huge save.
Ryan, what are the keys for this Harvard team coming off its best win of the season?
Yeah, I think face-off competency. You know, in the games that they win, they tend to have some success. When they lose, it's kind of bottom of the barrel. And in most games, they've had leads. You see Cornell, Duke, they've had multiple goal leads late in the 4th. They just need to stay composed down the stretch.
They could not clear that time, and Princeton nearly with an opportunity. Good recovery there by Krieger.
Gotta love the quick whistle. Gotta love the quick whistle.
Krieger fell asleep for a minute. You've got 30 seconds once there's a change of possession to get it into the attack box.
Area of concern, that's 2 failed clears early for Harvard.
Here's Alex White, the lefty, being checked by Chris White.
Harvard offensively presents a lot of challenges just because they play so many attackmen. Even at the midfield position, they play a lot of converted attackmen, so it's very hard to match up against them.
Harvard, good ball movement and a big save that time by San Chagrin on the shot by Peter Schwartz. How big is that for Eric San Chagrin?
Absolutely huge to get that first one under your belt, especially from Schwartz, you know, one of the top offensive players for Harvard.
Princeton turns it over. 3rd turnover for the Tigers.
Sloppy early, you know, you tend to see that, so, you know, teams kind of settling into things. Let's see the one out now that the game's kind of got underway, if both teams can get a little bit of the flow.
Here's number 3 in red, Devin Dwyer, an outstanding freshman from Garden City, New York, leading the team in points and in assists, 2nd on the team in goals.
Speaking of being in the flow, I think he is just an incredibly talented player. Only a freshman, just the world ahead of him. Really keep your eye on him moving forward. Not only this game, but I think moving down his career, you're going to keep hearing more and more things about him.
Harvard coming off an overtime win against Penn. Before that, they blew out Quinnipiac. There's a shot on goal, and again, turned away by San Chagrin. A couple of big saves early. That one goes too high off the stick of Jack Walker. Harvard there to back up, getting some good looks early, though.
Looks as though Princeton's changed to a zone there. Might be something because of the lack of depth. They're a little thin. They want to save some legs. Let's see how much Coach Raymond implements that moving forward. You notice he also did it when Dwyer picked it up on the end line. So that might be a specific strategy for Dwyer as Princeton throws the ball out, and another failed clear.
4 turnovers now for the Tigers, who have been very sloppy early. And remember, they've lost 2 of 3 coming in. Sloppy pass by Harvard. Ardrey can't save it, so the Crimson give it right back. Ryan, what are the keys today for the Tigers?
Yeah, I think we've already seen them turn the ball over several times. They have to value the ball. They're thin. They don't want to turn this into a track meet. And then Harvard's extra man offense unit is so deadly. They really need to stay in the box and limit their penalties because Harvard's going to cash in.
Princeton's turned it over on its last 3 possessions. You mentioned Harvard's success on the man up. The one maybe mitigating factor there, though, Princeton is the least penalized team in the Ivy.
They're going to need to beat tonight.
Here's Jake Fricaro, the freshman, coming off a 3-goal game in that loss to Dartmouth. Fricaro gets free, and that hits the pipe. Good job retrieving it by Tom Schreiber, the All-American. Maybe the best midfielder right now in college lacrosse. Kip Orban's got a seam. He's got a big shot. It's picked up by Fricaro on a bounce. Here's Schreiber. He's got the short stick. Now the pole's got him.
Great look.
From the wing, Ambler passed it up. Schreiber off the pick. He's got room. Back of the net. It won't count.
Really liked Schreiber's aggressiveness there. You know, we're about 5 minutes in this game, and he hasn't really touched it. Aggressively dodges, finds Ambler on the skip, and then pulls the trigger on that last dodge. And when he pulls the trigger, he pulls, you know, he really can put some heat on that shot.
And another turnover by Harvard. So clearly an issue early on. And we've got our first time out of the game. Sloppy play. 9:13 to go here in the first quarter. Both teams have turned it over a combined 9 times. Old Spice College Lacrosse is brought to you by the Old Spice Wild Collection. Answer the smell of the wild. And Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
I couldn't get a read on him. Is he bluffing? This hand is unbeatable. Wait, no. And I fold. Take care of my lady friend.
Let's get the happier started earlier. Head over to Taco Bell for Happier Hour, where every day from 2 to 5 p.m., you can recharge with $1 grillers or any medium drink, each for just $1.
They're rate suckers. Their bad driving makes car insurance more expensive for the rest of us. Good thing there's Snapshot from Progressive. Snap it in and get a discount based on your good driving.
Stop paying for rate suckers. Try Snapshot free at Progressive.com.
Harvard head coach Chris Wojcik had to cancel practice this past Monday when the bombings occurred at the Boston Marathon. Spoke to his team Tuesday. His message was simple. He said, hey, we're playing lacrosse here for Harvard University. You're getting a first-class education. You get to play a great sport. Consider yourselves fortunate. Consider yourselves lucky. Keep those that have been affected in your thoughts and prayers. And what Wojcik told us was the one thing he was impressed with this week, his team was able to compartmentalize and focus in practice.
Princeton successful clear there. They were 1 for 3. When we talk about valuing the ball, they absolutely need to clean that up moving forward in this game.
Just Will Rotatori, check by Ganos.
Look for them to try to get the ball to Luke Armour, a converted attackman, as they turn the ball over here again.
Dwyer comes away with it, and then he has it taken away. Here is Luke Armour. Missed most of the season with an injury. He's come back the last 2 games, and you talk about making an impact. 5 goals and an assist in the last 2 for Princeton.
Certainly missed his leadership, his scoring abilities. Having him back just adds another piece to this already explosive offense.
Here's Ryan Ambler, number 14, now off to Jeff Fricaro. Ambler, who's got the ball now, missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. He was in the middle of an outstanding freshman season.
Good invert there by Rotatori. You see Harvard countering with a specific zone invert defense.
McDonald's feed to Fricaro. He's got a man on the doorstep. It's Armour.
Armour right on cue, steps to the plate. This play is really set up by McDonald. Rotatori initially inverts, draws the double. That creates a short stick matchup for McDonald, who then exploits this. You see him dodge, push this corner. Harvard immediately doubles, skip pass, gets through to Fricaro, who immediately hits one more down to Luke Armour, who turns the corner, makes sure he increases his angle, and he beats Krieger back near side. That's the same spot that Schreiber beat Krieger, so maybe something to keep a track on from a scouting report standpoint. Coming back stick side might be an advantage there.
Schreiber's goal was waved off due to a moving pick. Face-off controlled by Princeton and Derek Raby. Good wing play that time from Raby, the junior out of New Canaan, Connecticut.
They've got numbers here. Carl elects to settle things down. One of those things when we talk to Coach Bates, that's a part of managing the game.
Something we'll see with Princeton, Ryan. Tom Schreiber will quarterback the offense from the midfield.
It's not something you typically see. There are a couple teams where that's the case. JoJo Marasco and Syracuse comes to mind, but it just shows his versatility.
Here's Kip Orban, 2-0 Princeton.
Orban has really unleashed his shot this year and unlocked that potential. Just getting better and better as this season progresses and as his career progresses, for that matter. A simple dodge by Fricaro. I'm not sure the double's necessary. He swings it to his brother, does a great job of looking right in front, and then there from Fricaro, or excuse me, Orban drops his hands but keeps it low. You can see that little skip off the turf gives that just enough deception to get by Krieger.
2 assists now for Jeff Fricaro, and for Orban, his 18th goal of the season. 10 straight games with a tally. He had 2 goals in a 12-5 win for Princeton over Harvard a year ago. Lucas and Mole at the X. Lucas usually the backup face-off man, but sometimes that's dependent on matchups. Another chance for Harvard here, but Ambler fired too high. Princeton 3 for 3 on the X, so a good sign on face-offs early for Chris Bates and the Tigers.
Well, that last possession is incredibly indicative of what Coach Bates wants to do. He's got confidence in his 6-on-6 offense. So instead of Jake Fricaro pushing something in transition when maybe not there, settle, let our defense rest, we're thin there, and get a goal anyway. We go right back to the well, same set.
Ambler passes it up to Orban. Here's Schreiber. So good on the run, so good on the move. Great pass, and another tally. It's McDonald.
Credit Coach Bates and the offensive coaching staff. They go right back to the same scheme, and this time it's option number 2. So instead of rolling back, now you see Jake Fricaro, and the ball eventually works to Schreiber, who has a great opportunity to dodge after a rotation. You have to slide to Schreiber. The flip side, the counter to that, though, is his vision's incredible. And he often has feeds that lead directly to shots. That's what makes him so special.
That was a milestone goal for Mike McDonald, the sophomore from Canada. 50th career goal. He's only the 7th Princeton player to get to 50 goals before the end of his sophomore year. Let's see if Harvard can get on the board here. Dwyer behind the cage, on the wing to Zimmerman. He can shoot on the run. He does and scores.
It took us a while to get going offensively, but this is what we expect out of these talented squads. Zimmerman's got a real shiftiness to his game that I like. Dwyer pushes that corner. They catch Princeton kind of between man and zone. They were still trying to set up. That's where you see Raby over-aggressive. Great top step there by Zimmerman, who's got that little shift that I like. And then once he gets to in front of the cage, he's gonna bury that every time.
Princeton had scored 3 goals in the span of a minute 24. Harvard answers right back 14 seconds after Princeton's last goal. And Princeton now 4 for 4 on faceoffs.
But that goal was set up by the turnover. You know, we talk about valuing the ball. That turnover creates the quick whistle end line situation for Dwyer, who takes advantage of it.
As we come down the home stretch of the season, games take on more meaning, and you look at what's on tap for Saturday on ESPNU. Villanova 4-0 in the Big East, 5-6 overall. They take on Notre Dame, and then it's Johns Hopkins and Navy. Hopkins lost to Navy a year ago.
Fricaro able to get out of trouble there, but I know he's going to get an earful during film. You shouldn't even be in that situation.
Something Chris Bates told us. Princeton, he said, with some of the injuries, a little lack of depth, they want to take their time offensively. That's why, to go to your point, they got to value possessions. Here's Jake Fricaro, younger brother of Jeff, who's got 2 assists. Jake in traffic, goes high to beat Krieger.
Princeton's pairs offense is difficult to cover to begin with, but then when you throw 2 brothers together, you're turning into a backyard game. Jake, the younger brother, pushes behind and then comes right back, like this nifty little goal line extended pick. Nothing there. When you're on ball, that's so difficult to understand. Is there a pick coming? Is there not? And once he turns that corner and gets his hands free, he is just so crafty around the cage.
What makes it so difficult to match up against that 2-man game that Princeton likes to run so often?
Well, typically they bring what's called a big little, 1 short stick and 1 pole, so you're challenging the matchup. Jeff Fricaro, the attackman's covered by a long pole. You don't want to leave him. He's just absolutely just accurate and has incredibly powerful shots. You don't want to leave him. Well, then you kind of leave your short stick out to dry, trying to cover Jake, who's very shifty, protects his stick very well. It's an incredibly tough matchup.
Princeton's got to get it in the box. Rotatory hit from behind, and that was an easy one for the Stripes.
This is DeButz, actually, who's a great kind of 2-way guy there on the clear. Let's see if Princeton, what they elect to do with this possession. They've got Schreiber doubling up here, playing first and second midfield.
Penalties coming on Brian O'Toole. Schreiber to McDonald. Thought about it. Now kicks it back out to 22, Schreiber. Schreiber broke his man's ankle. Pass deflected. Princeton stays with it. There's Rotatory working on O'Toole. Make that to Butts.
Still live here.
McDonald scoops it up. And now the stall warning, so the timer on, 30 seconds. McDonald fakes, takes a big hit. Pass to Ambler, turned away by Krieger. Harvard comes up with it, and now the penalty coming on O'Toole.
30 seconds.
Pretty clear here. O'Toole just in transition to Butts. You could see that cross check right to the back anytime a player falls on his stomach. By the laws of physics, Anish, that should be a push from behind.
Physics, the naked eye. See, that's that Princeton education at work. Princeton 43% on the man up this season. McDonald and Jeff Recaro have been the big EMO weapons, as has Luke Armour since he's come back from his injury. Ambler to Orban. McDonald fires. Ambler there to back up.
Two big saves there by Krieger. The first one on Ambler on the delayed penalty, and then this last one needed both of those as Harvard now kills off the penalty.
Big shot there by Orban, too high. Boy, he can let it fly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even strength coming up on 2:30 to play. Here's Jeff Recaro. What a goal from an almost impossible angle.
You talk about not getting a short stick matchup right in the pairs, and that's exactly what happened there. Harvard got caught as they killed off the penalty. Harvard got caught with a short stick on Recaro, so they try to shut him off. He backdoors his man. You can see the back door right there, drops his hands, and this might be something on the scouting report, that low-to-low offside. Team scout goalies so precisely now. We've seen two shots. That might be something that they've worked on all practice.
3 points here in the first quarter for Recaro, and his goal and 2 assists. Princeton 6 for 6 at the faceoff X, looking to make it 7 for 7. And Harvard wins its first.
It should have been a play-on situation. I'll take it easy on the refs today.
Well, if you're Eric Saint-Chagrin, and you've only played 3+ minutes this season, making your second career start, this is great. You've got a 5-1 lead now.
Oh, this is an ideal scenario. You couldn't have drawn it up any better if you're Princeton from a strategic standpoint. You're winning face-offs, you're getting quality possessions, and you're cashing in. Your defense is rested, and your untested goalie has a lot of confidence, and he's got a lead in front of him.
Harvard has not had many long possessions on offense. It doesn't feel like they've had many possessions on offense, period.
No, that's what Coach Wojcik was afraid about. You know, that was one of the keys to the game, is that face-off, at least playing to an even draw.
Here's Dwyer, great pass to the middle. Ardrey couldn't hold on to it. It's scooped up by Bonvino, who dumps it back. Dwyer with an easy goal.
Bonvino, somebody that typically is a backup long pole, forced to get a lot more action. The cross field that just doesn't get there, and Dwyer, and it cleans up the garbage.
Bonvino playing with Alex Beatty, who's the normal starting long stick midi, sidelined with an injury. Beatty's got shin splints, a stress fracture down there, but he's a pretty good long pole. 6'7", big guy, can cover a lot of ground.
The key there, though, is when you have inexperienced defensemen, clearing, of all things, is typically where it rears its ugly head. On that play, there wasn't an option across the field. Typically, you have a cross-field option all the way on the other side of the field. It wasn't there. No one was there. That's why Bonvino didn't have anywhere to throw. He didn't have an outlet.
There's Brendan Newman, big kid, 6'4", 200 pounds from Basking Ridge. Harvard there to back up. Ardrey was closest to it. Final 42 seconds of the first quarter. A goal here would be big. It makes it a 3-goal game going into the second quarter, and you have a little bit of momentum. Dwyer, a goal and an assist. He's being checked hard by Nick Fernandez. Dwyer's pass. Brady got a stick on it. Unsettled opportunity for Princeton. Lucas to Ambler. Here's Raby, the long pole. That's right into the cross of Krieger. Harvard with a chance the other way. Final 10 seconds. Zimmerman, who's got a goal already. Less than 5 seconds. Zimmerman on the run, and a big goal for Harvard with less than 2 seconds to play. That's twice we've seen Carl Zimmerman on the run with a shot and a score.
Really like his game. He just has a way of always getting his hands free and getting top side. Again, though, I think this is another situation where Princeton defensive inexperience shows. You see pickup here, matching the ball. He's got to know Zimmerman's a lefty. He's got to know that he's got to deny that top side. Zimmerman, though, challenges that top side foot, gets to the middle of the cage, where the middle of the field where he's got the 6-on-6x6 to shoot at, and unleashes one.
It's a tough spot for the goalie right there. Not much you can do.
No, that's exactly right. Bonvino's got to cut off that angle, force him down the side, force him to his right hand.
Princeton scored 5 of the game's first 6 goals, but Harvard a couple of goals late in that first quarter, and it's a 2-goal game. But boy, do the Fracaro brothers have their stamp on this one. Jeff's got a goal and 2 assists. Jake has got a goal as well.
You can toe the line when it comes to investing. Choose the stocks you like one by one. Or select Sector Spider ETFs and add the diversification of an entire sector of the S&P 500, like financial. With liquidity, all-day tradability, and transparency. Ready to add diversification to your equity investments? Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Go to sectorspiders.com for a prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully. Visit us at sectorspiders.com.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Charlotte Motor Speedway is expecting a good old-fashioned stampede at this year's Sprint All-Star Race.
Dale Jr.'s back, and he acts like he owns this whole town.
Let's just take this million and get out of town. That money goes with the fastest draw, boys.
Don't they have a sheriff in this town?
Nope. They got a king.
A king?
That's right, man. This feud gets settled at the track.
Come watch Billy Currington get the stampede started at the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race Saturday, May 18th.
Hi, I'm Spencer Luters with E. Charlotte Nissan. Winter is over, and it's time to enjoy the open road. Where would your Nissan take you? The beach? The mountains? No matter where you want to go, E. Charlotte Nissan has the perfect vehicle waiting for you.
And right now, get a Nissan Sentra for just $199 a month. That's right, $199 a month for a new Nissan Sentra.
E. Charlotte Nissan, Independence Boulevard.
ESPNU's coverage of college softball continues Saturday, starting at noon Eastern. In the ACC, it's Florida State against Virginia Tech, and then at 6 Eastern Saturday, South Carolina, Auburn, an SEC matchup. With Ryan Boyle and Ace Schroff, a good one here at Sherrod Field at Class of 1952 Stadium. 8 goals in the first quarter between Harvard and Princeton. The Fracaro brothers doing it for the Tigers. Carl Zimmerman, a couple for the Crimson.
It took us a while to get going, a little sloppy play early, a lot of turnovers, failed clears, but once the offenses started clicking, man, they started clicking.
How about 8 total goals all coming in the final 8 minutes of that first quarter? And Princeton, what's at stake for them? With a win, they clinch a spot in the Ivy League tournament. If Harvard wins, they don't clinch a spot, but they significantly improve their chances of getting into the Ivy League tournament. 7 teams in the Ivy for lacrosse. The top 4 get to play in the conference tournament. Princeton won the first 6 face-offs of this game. Harvard has won the last 4. There's Alex White, the team's leading goal scorer. He's a lefty. They drew him right. Big shot there, turned away by San Chagrin. That was Ryan Stevens unloading. He's the son of former New Jersey Devils great Scott Stevens, Hall of Famer. Won 3 Stanley Cups.
what really impresses me about Chris Wojcik's approach is they have a short roster, slim roster, 35 guys, as we brought up earlier. They play everybody, and everybody gets in. So if I'm at practice and I know I'm getting some burns, some time during the game, it's so much easier for me to buy into everything we're doing.
And Wojcik told us that's a big reason his team has been better in the second half of the season. Guys were playing early on who should not have been playing, but now they've gotten better.
Yeah, it's one of the unique things about the sport. The Ivy League actually starts practice after other teams, after other divisions. So at times it takes them a little bit to figure out their personnel, figure out their strategies.
Jeff Fricaro behind the cage. Good pass in the middle, and it's Jake Fricaro finishing. And who had the assist? Tom Schreiber.
Second goal at third point. The number 9, Jake Fricaro. From number 22, Tom Schreiber at 13-22. Tigers lead 6-3.
Princeton offensively just showing their overall versatility here. You've got Schreiber with his vision. Fricaro with a twister shot where he actually catches it and changes the angles. Watch this, as he catches it up high, he'll actually turn his stick and change the angle. What you don't see is Jeff exchange the ball from one side of the field to the other. You've just got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and when they put it all together, this is where you can get 6 goals with 13 minutes left to go in that
Absolutely.
half.
Princeton in its last game, a loss to Dartmouth, its worst loss of the season, held to 9 goals the first time this season they were held under 10.
You know, Coach Bates mentioned reading the press clippings a little bit, getting a little high and mighty. So maybe that Dartmouth loss, a little slice of humble pie, makes him work a little bit harder.
When we talked to Harvard coach Chris Wojcik, he said the wake-up call for his Harvard team was really a humbling loss to Albany, and since then they've played well. They could have and should have beat Cornell and Duke, lost 2 very close games, and then followed them up with wins against Quinnipiac. And then last week, Harvard coming off its best win of the season, an overtime win against Penn.
And that's where I expect this Harvard team to continue to push, to continue to compete. You saw them come back in the first quarter. This is a team that had leads over Cornell, over Duke. So expect
fourth quarter leads.
Fourth quarter leads, thank you. Expect them to make a run.
There's Peter Schwartz working on the short stick, Lucas. Schwartz has his shot. Looked like it got deflected, and it comes right into the cross of San Chagrin. 4th save for San Chagrin, making just his 2nd career start today. That was kind of the big pregame move. Matt O'Connor for Princeton, if you're just joining us, the freshman goalie who had started every game, not getting the call today against Harvard. And you spoke to Chris Bates about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think O'Connor is the long-term answer for them, but San Chagrin gives them the best opportunity to win today. Princeton back in the zone.
Zimmerman behind the cage. There's Murphy Vandervelde, number 14 in red. He had the game winner against Penn, 3 goals in that game. He's really come on of late. Ardrey, his pass for Vandervelde, intercepted. Here comes Raby for Princeton. He's already attempted 1 shot on goal. He passes it up. Ambler. Raby had the bounce shot. He may not get to shoot anymore. Princeton gets it back.
This is where the attack has to manage the game. You had your shot in transition. It didn't go down. Now set something up. Give your defense a little break. Because Harvard had technically 2 possessions because there was that turnover intermingled in there. So you've got to give them a chance to rest now. This is how you execute a strategy. This is how you execute the game plan. Let's see if they're able to do it.
Seeing the invert here from Princeton. Tom Schreiber right now on the bench getting a breather for the Tigers. Rotatori. Here's McDonald. He's got a seam and he scores 2 for the sophomore.
don't see Princeton get a lot of productivity from their second midfield group. So to have McDonald be able to cash in is a huge, huge plus for this game and moving forward.
Mike McDonald, the sophomore from Canada, the lefty. A couple of goals in this game. He's the team leader in goals, and Princeton has a 4-goal advantage.
With the draft on the horizon,
I'm coming after you.
Coach Gruden grills the top prospects in the film room.
That's NFL stuff right there.
And on the field.
Let's see how you like that.
Gruden's QB Camp, weekdays at 5 on ESPNU.
You can experiment with your investments. Choose the stocks you like one by one, or select Sector Spider ETFs and add the diversification of an entire sector of the S&P 500, like healthcare. With liquidity, all-day tradability, and transparency. Ready to add diversification to your equity investments? Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Go to sectorspiders.com for prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully. Visit us at sectorspiders.com.
ESPNU's coverage of SEC baseball continues Saturday night at 8:30 Eastern. 12th-ranked Arkansas, led by Brian Anderson, taking on Texas A&M. The game also available live on Watch ESPN. With former Princeton attackman Ryan Boyle, I'm Anu Schroff. We come to you from Class of 1952 Stadium, Sherrod Field. Princeton, having lost 2 of its last 3, off to a great start here. The offense really clicking. They've got a 7-3 edge on Harvard in a crucial, crucial Ivy League game for both these teams. Harvard's won 5 straight at the X, make it 6 in a row. So Princeton won the first 6, and now Harvard has responded with 6 straight face-off wins. There's Gabriel Mendola. And that's an easy save for San Chagrin. He's not really the guy you want shooting.
No, I think he had Zimmerman also on the point. I would have liked to have seen it go to him, especially with a hot hand.
Mendola has 3 goals on the season, but he's primarily a face-off guy and a D-midi.
Shots like that where the goalie kind of just corrals it, goes right in the stick, you get the old, or in practice you get the old popcorn call. I doubt that's getting called on a game of this magnitude with the tension.
Especially when you've got a goalie who hasn't seen much game time this season, and that time Princeton fails to clear, so Harvard gets it right back.
Maybe if he's a 4-year starter, he's not afraid to make that and talk a little trash, but you know, with his level of experience, doubt he's gonna do that.
That's not fun. That's not fun. Throw the flag. Throw the flag.
Here's Fiervanti, gives it up to the long pole as Harvard sets up on offense.
Great look.
Peter Schwartz has a look, gears up, great save by San Chagrin. 5 saves now for the sophomore. Here comes Fracaro, unsettled chance for the Tigers. Fracaro's got a couple assists already. Schreiber. And now Ambler slows things up. Ryan Ambler missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Where did Princeton really miss his presence?
Well, just before we get there, that, in my estimation, is a misread by Ambler. You've got the best player on your team and arguably the best midfielder in the country in an odd man situation. That is not the time where you pull it out. That's where you have you add another goal and continue to push your lead. Where they missed Ambler is from a consistency standpoint. He brings a dynamic quality. He typically makes good decisions. He's a good finisher. He's got good vision, but he's not the one. He hasn't earned the right to make that call.
Here's Schreiber. That's too high. They give Princeton the back up there. That was close. Caro now from behind the cage. To his brother Jake. Princeton's got its top 6 on offense on the field.
Ooh, good curl there by McDonald.
Jake for Caro, the freshman. Trying to back down O'Toole.
Good defense there by O'Toole.
Orban working on Fioravanti. Orban with a nice low shot, and again they beat Krieger low.
Great take here by Orban. Uses the Schreiber kind of screen, half screen. It's very difficult to match up because you don't want to leave Schreiber. So when Orban goes down the side here, he's able to get that step. Harvard's just a little late, and Orban, again, he's just improved so much. Here he turns back to his right hand to increase his shooting angle, which enables him to then reach around Krieger and exploit that opposite low corner. So instead of shooting that with his left hand, and even though it doesn't seem like a major deal, when he comes that left hand, it's a little bit easier for Krieger to read that shot.
Stick goes flying. The faceoff comes to Princeton. Another possession for the Tigers. Looking at the shot disparity right now, +8 for Princeton, 20-12. And Harvard really in this game, and they're 6-on-6. Ooh, that was close. Raby nearly set one in his own goal. And now a flag, and it's going to be against Princeton. Well, that could have been a goal. That could have been an embarrassing, not top 10 goal.
I mean, I know lacrosse loves getting in the top 10 sports.
Not that way.
I don't think so.
Personal foul, 24 white. Trip, 1 minute. 2-4, trip.
That's on Nick Fernandez, and so now we see this Harvard man up, which is the best in the Ivy League.
Absolutely. What you're going to see here is on that failed clear, Dwyer makes an aggressive attempt. That check from Fernandez kind of hits him his leg. This is a pretty clear trip call. Dwyer just always in the right place at the right time. Even on those strange transition situations, he's the guy that's there.
14 in red. Vandervelde is their big man-up specialist. 7 goals on the EMO this season. Dwyer's pass to the middle. White has it knocked away. Loose ball in front, comes to San Chagrin. Still 30 seconds left on the man-up for Harvard, but Princeton's got the ball.
Got numbers here on the backside.
There's Schreiber, and that's wide.
As a coach, though, you've got to let him play that out. And that's where the frustration comes earlier with Ambler pulling it out. You've got to, if you're going to win this game and you're going to make a splash, you've got to let your best player be the best player.
Fewer better than Schreiber, an All-American. Known for his outstanding vision. A co-captain who's a junior. He's averaging 4.5 points per game over his last 8. Princeton timeout with 6:07 to go here in the second quarter. Tigers in control. They've scored 3 goals here in the second quarter. They had a 5-3 lead after 1. 8-3, +5 for Princeton. And let's credit this Princeton defense as well. Harvard in the 6-on-6 really has not been able to do anything.
No, it's a great point, and there in that last man up, they didn't cash in either. I think Dwyer forced that a little bit. You know, Princeton has had those failed clears opportunities, which Harvard's been able to cash in on. Harvard just needs to generate a little bit more consistency.
Out there, go to Oceans. Make sure we back it up. Okay, let's go in X. Right, let's go with 3X over the top with Pip on the backside.
I get 5.
Yeah, Mike get 5 and you talk to him on the backside.
What time we're going?
On the 25 short pitch. All right, Tom, you let us know. When you're going down. You gotta let us know when we're going, so he knows. Right? Yeah, just get around, make sure we have home second. Right, play the cross here. Right, we'll time it up. If it's not there, go 3X. Right, back up the cage, right? Back to the cage. Here we go. Let's go get one.
There you go. There you go, White. This is a big goal.
On 3 out. 1, 2, 3.
8-3 Princeton. The Tigers' best player, Tom Schreiber, number 22, has had his stamp on this game. A couple of assists. When we had Princeton and Syracuse a few weeks ago, I asked you about this. You played quarterback, you played point guard along with playing lacrosse. Schreiber had that same upbringing and sort of credited playing those other sports with making him a better field general in lacrosse. How does that go hand in hand?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about a point guard in basketball, Steve Nash coming off a pick and roll. And if somebody comes to double team or you know, try to inhibit his shot, he then makes that feed. Or if they switch on that pick and roll and now he's dribbling on a center, he's going to pull that guy and exploit that matchup. Princeton attacks a defense in a similar manner.
We saw the superlatives for Schreiber a moment ago. He's the subject of tonight's Sector Spiders player portfolio. He's having another first-team All-American type season for this Princeton team.
Let's go!
I was about to say good patience by Princeton, but in this day and age now that's getting called a stall, and the timer is on.
Timer on. They have to get a shot on goal. It's got to hit the goalie, hit the post, to go in. Ambler on the short stick. Had Fracaro. Fracaro just could not handle the pass as Harvard comes away with it. This close defense, the strength of this Harvard team, but today Princeton has had a ton of really good scoring opportunities.
Yeah, but I think that's an encouraging sign for Harvard there. To be able to stop that first group from Princeton, which is as good as a 6 as any in the country.
Sure.
They needed that type of stop in order to generate some momentum now on the offensive side of the ball.
White Vino! White Vino!
Here's Vandervelde. He's got a big, heavy shot. Haven't seen him unleash one yet.
Tight there, tight there. Tight, Schreiber, play tight.
And Dwyer, one of 2 freshmen on attack. He and Ardrey. Here's Vandervelde from up top.
Bright future for Dwyer and Ardrey together. They just complement each other very well. Ardrey, that off-ball guy. Dwyer, the shifty ball carrier. I mean, he handles the ball a ton.
Walker trying to make his way around Bonvino. Good defense that time, and now a stall warning. So Harvard with the timer on. They've got 30 seconds to get a shot on goal. Zimmerman, who's got 2 goals already, streaking toward the cage. He gets hit. No flag. Loose ball.
You asked me earlier about the basketball and football comparison.
Go for it.
That was Schreiber with the hit. So if you think he shies away from any sort of physical contact, I think that's the football player in him coming out.
He played quarterback, but he didn't wear the red jersey, I guess.
Left side of the screen, you see Schreiber coming up from goal line extended. He's the one that delivers the blow. Pretty special when your leading scorer also gives you that on the defensive side of the ball.
And how many times have we seen that? Harvard in the 6-on-6 just not even able to get a shot off.
It just seems like they've never been able to get into a flow of things offensively. I don't know if that's because of the choppiness of the game, some sloppy early play, but they just need to settle down.
Crimson 12 shots, 10 turnovers, scoreless here in the second quarter.
Iron! That's it!
Again, second midfield in for Princeton, so they get a chance to give Schreiber a little time to breathe. He plays so much as it is.
Great switch there. Fracaro had a short stick. He's got Vandervelde again. Let's see if Harvard can get a quick slide and recover.
Timer on. That hits the post. And it comes to Princeton. That counts as a shot on goal. So Princeton not under that 30-second restriction to shoot.
Come, settle that, relax. Not there.
Rotatory clears for Princeton.
All right, coach, you made your point.
has 10 more shots than Harvard in this game. 22-12 advantage. Ambler checked by Petrucci.
Good defense there. Really tough matchup here. Again, for Karin Vandervelde. I don't think he wants a pick.
Recaro trying to get around Vandervelde. Bounce shot just wide. Ambler there to back up with 1:14 to go. And a timeout by Princeton. Their final timeout of the first half with 1:12 to go. Princeton and Harvard both come into this game 2-2 in the Ivy League, both trying to secure one of the 4 spots for the Ivy League tournament, which begins in a couple of weeks. Cornell, the bellwether in the conference, as I said earlier, 4-0 in league play. If the Big Red beat Brown tomorrow, Cornell will host the Ivy League tournament. They'll wrap up the regular season crown. Yale has clinched a spot in the Ivy League tournament. But for Princeton, they could still win the Ivy if Cornell loses out and Princeton wins out. That means Princeton would host the Ivy, and Princeton also has a chance of not making the 4-team tournament at all.
I think this is one of those things where media loves to talk about all the different scenarios.
It's crazy.
We're better off just kind of wait and see.
Princeton, though, with a win tonight, would clinch at least a spot in the Ivy League tournament. Harvard wouldn't clinch a spot if they were to come back and win this game, but they would significantly increase their chances of getting into the conference tournament. And remember, just a couple of years ago, Harvard got all the way to the championship game of the Ivy League tournament where they lost to Cornell.
I think what really stands out to me the most there is Yale already clinching. You know, they lose to Cornell, they lose to Princeton, kind of the big brothers of the conference,
Sure,
so to speak, but then they just take care of business.
And who won the Ivy League tournament last year?
Exactly.
Yale. Yeah, they've built a good program there, and they've really added depth to this conference. We'll talk more about that at halftime.
Let's see what Harvard elects to do here, if they're going to go man-to-man or zone. They're starting the short stick on Ambler.
Harvard got 2 goals at the very end of the first quarter when it was 5-1 Princeton to make it 5-3. They need another blitz like that before halftime. Ambler doubled, now a flag, delayed penalty on Harvard. That one rolls back to Ambler, and Princeton being patient. Schreiber's got the short stick, Fioravanti fires wide.
4-4, hold. 4-4, hold, 30 seconds.
32nd on Fioravanti, so Princeton will be on the EMO.
Yeah, you see Ambler here go underneath, and it's a pretty clear hole with that kind of hooking motion. That's what makes it easy on the referee to make that call.
Hey, let's go, G.
Second man up chance for Princeton, 0 for 1 in this game. Jeff Recaro and McDonald, along with Armour, their top extra man threats. Final 10 seconds of the man up. Schreiber. Here's Ambler, thought about the low to high, not there. Back to even strength. Fracaro's shot and a big save by Krieger going into halftime. Coming up at halftime, Matt Schick and Brock Eward will preview this weekend's college football spring games. Ryan and I will talk about this Ivy League being underrated, and we'll recap the first 30 minutes of play. Eric Sans-Chagrin, 6 saves tonight, making his first start of the season, the second of his career. A stellar first half for the sophomore. Your score at halftime, Princeton 8, Harvard 3.
Princeton University, a research university with a special commitment to teaching, where scholars and students learn from the past and look into the future, where students from many backgrounds prepare for leadership and lives of service, where more than half the student body receives financial aid in grants, not loans. A university of excellence in athletics, in the arts, in all that it does. Princeton University, in the nation's service and in the service of all nations.
Enjoy movies better with Time Warner Cable Movies on Demand. Watch Django Unchained, the new film by Quentin Tarantino.
You got me curious. I'm curious what makes you so curious.
Winner of 2 Academy Awards, including Best Original Screenplay, Quentin Tarantino, and Best Supporting Actor, Christoph Waltz.
In my world, you gotta get dirty. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting dirty.
Django Unchained, now available on demand. Whatever you're passionate about, we invent better ways to share it, get lost in it, and love it even more. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
So this is my computer?
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. If I say dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
We are at halftime. Matt Schick along with former University of Washington quarterback Brock Huard with you. Spring is certainly in the air with some big college football spring games coming up tomorrow. Penn State, noon Eastern. You'll get to see Alabama, 3 Eastern time on ESPNU, the defending champs. Western Kentucky, Bobby Petrino's first spring game after his stint with Arkansas. Getting back to Penn State, 8 wins in Coach O'Brien's first season there in State College. What's the next step for he in the program?
Like many of these games that you're going to see over the weekend, it's finding a quarterback. And in some of these cases, like Penn State, it's not a 2-man race or 3-man. It's even a 4-man race. In order for Bill O'Brien to survive at Penn State, he has to run a pretty exotic system. And what I mean by that, it's NFL heavy. And that quarterback, he's got to be very cerebral. Matt McGloin was a season ago. So getting the trigger man, because of the lack of depth there, a trigger man that can handle that depth of playbook will be very, very important. The spring game 1 evaluation in this fall as well in a very heated quarterback race.
Well, Penn State and Ohio State both finished ahead of Wisconsin. Both, though, have those postseason bans last season. Penn State's continues for a couple of more seasons, a few more seasons. Wisconsin was your Big Ten champ in that game, still scoring on Nebraska somewhere. Lost in the Rose Bowl. Gary Anderson, new head coach, replacing Brett Bielema. How does this program look under Anderson?
You know, I chatted with Brett Bielema on the way out last year. In fact, I called the Penn State-Wisconsin game to end the regular season. That's where Bielema said, this is the best junior class that I've had at Wisconsin. Well, now they're seniors for Gary Anderson, so they can be pretty exotic. They're going to have a very different scheme defensively, a 3-4 scheme that I think plays to the strengths of Chris Borland and many of their linebackers. But much like Penn State, much like Auburn, much like many of these teams, finding the quarterback, they too will have a 4-man race this fall to find the right triggerman.
You mentioned it. New head coach in Madison, new head coach in Auburn. No conference wins for the Tigers last season. What does Gus Malzahn bring to the table?
Physicality, and that sounds kind of crazy for a guy that loves to run the spread and up-tempo, but he knows in the SEC it's a line of scrimmage game, and when they won that national title with Cam Newton, well, he was calling the plays, and they were as physical as anybody on both sides of the ball. Gus texted me last night and said, this has been a very physical camp. We have got to get that mindset back, the fundamentals back, and they've got more personnel in place. They're going to win more games, and I think many people believe he likes the personnel, just changing that mindset to make them even tougher.
Auburn, one of the many spring games coming up tomorrow, and then on Monday we will recap it all, look back at the weekend that was and those spring game highlights. College Football Daily, the Spring Blitz, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday.
Being an ex-quarterback, I know the importance of staying cool and relaxed. That's why I wear new Relax Fit shoes by Skechers.
Oh, yeah, I have Joe Montana.
Here you go, Joe. Ronnie's always got my back.
Presenting new Relaxed Fit shoes. Relax with Skechers.
Show it off, America. Show off that belt you replaced. Show off the fuel pump, the oil change, the upgrade. You did it. There are a lot of places you can go to do it yourself, but there's only one place that can help you do it right. AutoZone. Because even the pros know parts are just part of what we do. We have the advice, the instructions, we even loan tools. So show it off, America. You did it right. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
With the draft on the horizon,
And after you.
Coach Gruden grills the top prospects in the film room.
That's NFL stuff right there.
And on the field.
See how you like that?
Gruden's QB Camp, weekdays at 5 on ESPNU.
ACC Monday on ESPNU. With the help of dominant pitching and an explosive offense, number 25 North Carolina looks to weather the swarm of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Monday at 7 on ESPNU.
This is Carlos Beltran. He taught himself to hit from both sides of the plate the old-fashioned way. He even watches game tape of other players watching game tape.
Interesting.
He's Carlos Beltran, and he's about to take the stage. Sunday Night Baseball, Cardinals-Phillies at 8 on ESPN.
Welcome back to Sherrod Field here in Princeton, New Jersey. Halftime between Harvard and 13th-ranked Princeton with former Princeton attackman Ryan Boyle and the Schroff. You look at the Ivy League standings. Cornell right now leading the way unbeaten in conference. If the Big Red knock off Brown tomorrow, they clinch the regular season crown and will host the conference tournament. And you look at some of these Ivy League teams, Princeton, Yale, Penn, strong non-conference wins. But it seems when they lose in conference, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. Maybe teams from some other bigger conferences do.
Absolutely. Cornell, creme de la creme, so to speak, in the Ivy League conference right now. In-conference games are just so difficult. You see the same teams over and over and those rivalries. And for whatever reason, the Ivy League really doesn't get the benefit of the doubt if you lose in conference.
Let's compare one Ivy League team to a team from the ACC. We're not going to tell you who just now. Blind resumes. It's that time of the year as we get closer to the NCAA tournament. It looks pretty even on paper.
Absolutely. The thing that jumps out to me here is the conference records. You know, one team's 2-1, the other team's 3-2. It's similar against the RPI top 20. So you think, okay, these programs should be somewhat comparable, if you will. And then when you reveal whom they are, you know, on the left side, Duke, of course they're going to the tournament. Of course they're headed in. They're always in the Final Four. Meanwhile, Yale, they have no shot, or they need to pick up another couple big wins in order to get it. No one's thinking about Yale when they have almost an identical resume.
And Yale was the team that won the Ivy League tournament a year ago, getting into the postseason. Duke, of course, has been a mainstay at championship weekend over the last several years. But when you take a closer look at their schedules, and it's not just who they beat, but also who they lost to and how they lost to them, and then you kind of roll your eyes and you say, well, maybe Yale's actually done a little better.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Duke, and a lot of their losses were early in the season, like Duke always does. But they were blowouts, including by Penn. Meanwhile, Yale beats Penn in conference, which arguably is a more difficult matchup. And Yale, you look at their losses, St. John's by 1, the first game of the season, when the Ivy League has a slower start, a later start, and then they lose to Cornell and Princeton by 2-1. Those are some in-conference rivalries. Those are tough. So, you know, Yale gets doesn't really get the benefit of the doubt for those losses.
Duke, of course, plays in the ACC. No automatic qualifier in that conference yet, but they do have a conference tournament which has boosted teams' RPIs and strength of schedules in the past. You look at the conferences that do hand out an AQ. To me, the America East is the most intriguing because Albany looks to be in pretty good shape or have a shot of getting an at-large if they don't win their conference tournament. But if they don't, that means somebody else could have a bid taken away.
The big thing here is if these leaders don't win their conference tournaments, it is going to upset the apple cart. The tournament selection committee is not an enviable position. Man, oh man, these guys have got a difficult set of choices coming their way.
As we come down the stretch here in the regular season, so much yet to be decided, as is this game. We're back with first half stats.
You can stick with a hardwired strategy when it comes to investing. Choose the stocks you like one by one, or select sector SPDR ETFs and add the diversification of an entire sector of the S&P 500, like technology. with liquidity, all-day tradability, and transparency. Ready to add diversification to your equity investments? Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Go to sectorspiders.com for prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully. Visit us at sectorspiders.com.
Your tape is the most essential tool on the job. Increase speed and efficiency with the new Control Series from Lufkin. The innovative drag strip controls tape retraction with the touch of a finger, making measures smooth, quick, and easy. A wide end hook grabs fast and holds tight for accurate marking. And a 10-foot standout puts tough measures in reach. Whether building a house or doing projects at home, the Lufkin Control Series with drag strip gets the job done fast.
Motor Trend asked people who aren't driving a Ford to take the EcoBoost Challenge. Ford Escape with EcoBoost technology took on Honda and Toyota.
This is a lot of fun to drive.
That's the EcoBoost. I feel the power behind the Escape. 33 miles per gallon, that's crazy.
That's more than my little car.
I like the way the Escape drives better than the RAV4.
Sorry, Honda, step up your game.
Drive Escape with 0 for 60 plus 500 challenge cash, or get $2,000 cash back. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Welcome back to Old Spice College Lacrosse. Halftime here at Class of 1952 Stadium in Princeton, New Jersey. A couple of teams that are 2-2 in the Ivy League, both looking to get into the Ivy League tournament, and Princeton with an 8-3 lead at the half. The Tigers jumped out to a 5-1 lead. Harvard closed to within 5-3 going into the second quarter, and then Princeton 3 unanswered in that second quarter. A really early offense, some good looks, and solid goalie play for Princeton by a guy making just his second career start.
And I think a lot of credit's got to go to the Princeton defense. You know, you look at those two of those goals kind of coming by a failed clear. Yeah. I don't want to call them fluky goals, but otherwise that defense, despite its inexperience, really putting it on lockdown and giving Sandstrom a chance to make an impact in his first start this season.
The Fraccaro brothers really got Princeton started. Younger brother Jake with a couple of goals in that first quarter for the Tigers. Nice look there. And then Jake again off the nice feed from the All-American Tommy Schreiber. And then big brother Jeff on senior day, he's got to get his.
You think they haven't practiced that in the backyard before? And Sandstrom, really, here's the risky choice by Coach Bass making that change, and it's paying off. The defense is giving him some shots that he can save, and then he's stepping up when he needs to, particularly on this one from Schwartz. Look at this, off the feed from Dwyer, folks. Look how difficult this is. 0.4 of a second to react from the release to, oh my gosh, it's right on me. It's just one of the more challenging things to do in all of sports in my mind.
Sandstrom, 6 saves already in the first half of this game. Coming into this game, he had faced 3 shots all season. He had only played a little more than 3 minutes, and those came in a blowout 15-2 win against Manhattan. Opening faceoff of the second half, and it comes to Princeton. Tigers have won 8 of 14 at the X.
Good to see Chris White back, healthy, senior captain. The other captain is Tom Schreiber, who's a junior, and while he's certainly one of the leaders, being a senior captain just is a little bit different. It has a little bit different weight, so I'm sure that having him back means a lot to the team.
White had a shoulder injury, and when we talked to Chris Bates, Princeton's head coach, he really praised the leadership of White and said what was frustrating for White was it's tough to lead when you're not on the field.
Halftime adjustments here. Harvard elects to double pole, and they've bumped up a long pole on Fraccaro, and now are short-sticking McDonald.
McDonald on Fioravanti, who's Harvard's best short-stick D-midi. Orban, who's got 2 goals in this game, and that comes to Krieger.
The Crimson have transition if they want it here.
They've struggled in the 6-on-6 in the first half. O'Toole's pass over the head of Zimmerman, and really that's been the story of this game for Harvard. Missed opportunities. They have not been able to set up their offense because of turnovers. Don't forget Saturday on ESPNU, Villanova, Notre Dame. The Wildcats 4-0 in the Big East. Notre Dame #2 in the nation. And then Hopkins Navy, the 4 o'clock game. The Blue Jays lost to the Midshipmen a year ago.
Just highlighting, those games. Villanova might come into play because some of the losses that they had early in the season, now that they're undefeated in the Big East, if they continue to win, that could become a huge RPI win.
Absolutely.
And then you look at Hopkins Navy. I don't think Hopkins is going to rely on Navy for them to get into the tournament, but if they lose,
bad loss.
Oh, it just makes it that much more difficult.
It almost negates their big win against Maryland, which a lot of folks felt saved Hopkins' season, or at least
extended it.
Orban shot too high. He's looking for the hat trick. Yeah, Hopkins closes the year next week against Loyola. You look at next week's games, boy. Notre Dame, Syracuse, Princeton, Cornell, Hopkins, Loyola.
It's that time of the year at NCAA lacrosse.
And all those games will be on ESPNU. There's Schreiber. Gets away from the double. On the doorstep, and that's an easy one, the hat trick for Orban.
Credit McDonald here. While he has no involvement on the stat sheet, he's the one that creates this opportunity. He's being shut by the short, and instead of exploiting that with a dodge, he tried to, but then he brings that short stick over to the Schreiber matchup, and that allows Schreiber to create this scoring opportunity. You gotta slide to Schreiber when he's got a short stick. He then sees that skip pass all the way through to Ficarro. The defense recovers, and then he bumps it inside to Orban. Really, that shows the depth offensively that Princeton has to have that many people involved in that goal.
I went 3 goals in this game. Orban 20 on the season. Princeton now with 5 players on their roster with 20 goals. Jake Ficarro got to the 20-goal plateau earlier in this game. And the hat trick, 3 goals in a game. That's the first time Orban has done that in his Princeton career. Alex White, Harvard's leading scorer, has been very quiet in this game.
Must be something about just seeing red that gets Orban's blood flowing.
I guess so. 2 goals against the Crimson a year ago. Good defense there by Strabo on Zimmerman, who's got 2 of the 3 Harvard goals.
White's got to step up and be the guy here, especially with the short stick matchup.
Peter Schwartz started the year on attack, moved to midfield to give Harvard a little more offensive punch from their middies. Here's White, he's a lefty, they're drawing him right.
Goal here.
Gets to the left hand, but right into the cross of Saint-Chagrin.
Really created a great scoring opportunity. I've been waiting for White to get back to that lefty shot he's got. I thought he's gonna be able to cash in there.
With a 6-goal lead, Princeton able to rest Tom Schreiber as they've got their second midfield out there, and Schreiber's a guy who normally plays a lot of minutes. And when you look at Princeton and what they've done this season, all 4 of their losses, 1-goal losses, and in all 4 of those games, they had the lead in the 4th quarter. And something Chris Bates talked about was sometimes they get fatigued toward the end. They don't play that many guys. Sometimes Schreiber will play heavy minutes, and it catches up to you sometimes.
Particularly that midfield defensive depth, as well as they get challenged late in games. Another short stick matchup on McDonald. Let's see if he tries to exploit this or bring that player into a picking situation.
Petrucci shadowing Ambler. This is McGrath. Stall warning in effect. Princeton has 30 seconds to get a shot on goal. Less than 20 seconds to shoot.
I think this is where you roll the ball in the corner and just live for another day. You've got your second matchup on anyway.
Big save by Krieger.
Now, if you're going to execute Coach Bates' game plan, you just got a shot. There's no timer on.
Right, timer off. Hit the goalie.
Relax. You might even think about subbing the second midfield on and try to bring on fresh legs. You view on the left side of your screen, you see McDonald do a great job of challenging that. Goes to his right, which you never see from a Canadian. You'd almost rather see him do the old twister, right? I referenced earlier, pull it across your body and then go down.
McGrath unloaded one. Princeton there to back up. He had a good look. Brendan McGrath, sophomore from St. David's, Pennsylvania.
The second midfield group all year has been kind of a rotating cast of characters.
And a goal for Jeff Riccaro, the senior, with his second tally.
And with a rotating cast of characters, this is where you look for your consistent leaders to step up. Ambler to Riccaro, those are the type of goals you should see with a second midfield group out there. Nothing crazy here. Ambler's just going to push from behind the cage, and Riccaro just kind of floats up top and creates a little bit of space. Nothing too crazy there. Riccaro does a great job of creating space, but this might be a situation where Princeton's just starting to wear down Krieger. You see, 32 shots compared to 13. It might just be a matter of fatigue defensively.
Harvard, it feels like, and well, doesn't feel like they have been on defense pretty much the entire game. Justin Murphy wins the faceoff. 9-7 advantage at the X for the Princeton Tigers.
And that's where that seamless, that innocent little turnover in transition earlier this quarter. Now you see how important that is.
Princeton starting Eric Sanchagrin today, their backup goalie, getting the nod in place of Matt O'Connor. McDonald drives in, hits the body of Krieger, and it comes to Harvard. How does Harvard generate offense? They have not been able to do so in the 6-on-6.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you got to take care of the ball. That's number one. And number two, they really thrive in kind of big little situations, particularly with Dwyer behind the cage and one of their converted attackmen going back there. They haven't done that a lot. And here's another turnover. They got too many men on the field. So just these costly turnovers.
12 turnovers for Harvard after the offsides. And their scoring drought, 22-plus minutes now.
Anytime your shots are even in the same range as your turnovers this late in the game, things are not going your way. And now they got to deal with Schreiber and company back on the offensive side of the ball. Interestingly here, they got Armour running with the first group.
Schreiber working on John Rose. Here's Armour trying to split the double, kicks it back out. Good ball movement by Princeton.
Great top step there by Armour. I'd like to see him just let that fly.
Great job there by the freshman Dovniak to get the ground ball. Unsettled chance for Harvard, and again, an errant pass and a turnover, number 13 for the Crimson. That time it was Fiervanti, who's really a D-midi, trying to initiate and made a bad pass.
Yeah, this is challenging.
That's not a good ratio. 13 shots, 13 turnovers.
Just a tough spot for Harvard to be in, frankly. This is where you want to play for the city and play with great emotion, but it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy what this team and these kids have been through.
Harvard has not scored since the first quarter. They got a tally with about 2 seconds to go in that first quarter. Shutout in the second quarter. Shutout so far here in the third through 9 minutes.
One figure! Got one! Got 12!
Princeton has scored 5 unanswered.
Good physical play there by Fisher on Armour. I like the aggressiveness. Again, short sticking McDonald.
McDonald looking for his third goal of the game, falls down. No penalty marker. Fraccaro's pass to Ambler. He shovels it off to Rotatori. And now the stall warning, so Princeton with 30 seconds to shoot. It has to be a shot on goal, defined as a shot that either hits the goalie or the post or goes in.
Again, great physical play on these picks.
Ambler ran into a roadblock. Final 10 seconds. McDonald, bounce shot too high. That is not a shot on goal.
You gotta love how Mendola's playing those picks, just blowing up the ball carrier as they come off of it. Great job here by Princeton, actually executing this strategy when their shot clock gets low. Get your defensive players on the field, roll the ball in the corner, and live to play for another day.
Instead of rushing a bad shot and giving Harvard a free transition opportunity potentially.
Look, it's difficult, and I'm not going to say it's easy when it's not visible, but this is the one thing that college teams haven't totally caught up on yet. It's pretty much a known entity in the MLL. You know, once you get under 10, unless you've really got something, roll the ball in the corner and let your defense have a chance to succeed. Put them in a position where they can get the ball back to you quickly.
That's a great point. You play in the MLL for the Boston Cannons. The shot clock has certainly evolved that game, and still in the evolution process really in the college game. I'm sure we'll probably see tweaks to it over the next few years.
If the college coaches get their druthers, absolutely.
Low shot by Newman. It's deflected. Scooped up by Lucas.
You got numbers here. There's 2 poles, but you got numbers.
Princeton's 6-on-6 half-field defense has been outstanding.
Should be a goal.
Raby, that's his 3rd shot. The long pole. He's greedy.
Going the other way here. Ooh. Still got something here.
Ardrey with a low shot. And how about Sans Chagrin, the dive, and Princeton gets the possession.
Sans Chagrin showing the headiness there, showing his athleticism.
Here we are in the 3rd quarter, coming up on 3 minutes to play, and you have not dropped your favorite nugget on Eric Sans Chagrin. 2005.
That's right.
It's in his official bio.
That's right. He is a vegetarian since 2005.
Since 2005.
Would love to know what happened between 2004 and 2005 that warranted that decision. You don't see that a lot in college athletics. From California, developing market. Maybe that has something to do with it. Great look inside.
That's 3 for McDonald. He's got 30 goals now on the season.
Timeout, Harvard. Tigers lead 11-3. The time of the goal, 2:40.
Harvard calls a timeout with 2:45 to go. McDonald with 3 goals. Jake Fraccaro's got a couple. Orban's got 3. It's been a real bounce back effort for Princeton after really a tough loss last weekend to Dartmouth.
Just the absolute trust here that Schreiber has in McDonald. Technically, somebody is right on him. O'Toole's there. It doesn't matter. McDonald, one of the best in business inside.
At Papa John's, we know that twice is nice. That's why we created the double-layered premium pepperoni pizza. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
For just $10, get a large Papa John's double-layered premium pepperoni pizza, loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Or choose any large pizza, even specialties, for just $11. This isn't just any pizza for $11. It's a Papa John's pizza, loaded with quality.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
All Princeton here at Class of 1952 Stadium. The Tigers with an 11-3 lead on the Harvard Crimson. Chris Wojcik's Crimson came in having won 2 straight, playing real well. Big win against Penn last weekend in overtime, but their offense has disappeared, and really they've come undone because of the turnovers. Harvard wins the draw. It's Mendola. And again, another near turnover. The passing has just been awful for Harvard as they give it up once again.
You know, they had transition, they had numbers there, just a little sloppy play, and then one bad pass kind of leads to another. Anytime you catch a bad pass, that's not the time to compound the level of difficulty. If you have a challenging catch, typically what you want to do is kind of gather yourself and then make a fundamentally sound pass afterwards.
Here's Schreiber, one of the best passers in the game. 3 assists in this one. Princeton has scored 6 straight goals. Harvard has not scored since the first quarter.
Harvard staying on that short stick matchup on McDonald.
He's made him pay 3 goals in this game.
Well, what's so challenging is with this box background, you know, he might be covered inside, but if you're not right in on him, Schreiber's going to make those passes to his stick as he demonstrated last time.
Here's Schreiber. That's deflected by Krieger. And Krieger covers it up in the crease.
Tough angle there by Schreiber.
The outlet to Fioravanti. He's got it knocked away, but he's able to recover.
Again, they've got numbers.
Zimmerman, who has 2 of the 3 Harvard goals. But again, Harvard forced to retreat, and here in the 6-on-6, it's been turnovers, poor shots, missed opportunities.
They've got some great matchups here. They've got Jake Fricaro caught on the field. Harvard really should try to exploit that matchup, as they do right here.
Here's Stevens, knocked away by San Chagrin. Raby trying to run it down near the end line. And it's out of bounds. It'll go to Princeton. Long outlet to Jake Fricaro. And Schreiber calling for it.
White caught on defense. The exact same situation that just happened for Fricaro.
Final 15 seconds here. Orban, who's got a hat trick. That's wide. Ambler gets the backup, so Princeton keeps it. 12 seconds to play in the third. Here's McDonald, 3 goals in the game, make it 4.
Coach Bates has talked all season about the evolution of Mike McDonald, and that is exactly what was on demonstration there. You look at the last 2 goals he's had. One was kind of the old Mike McDonald. This one's the new. Here he dodges, gets topside, and then just unleashes one pretty far out there. His 4th of the game, his 3rd of the season, the 4-goal game that is, and he has just really become one of the more dynamic goal scorers in the country.
And Princeton has been just so efficient on offense today. You mentioned their top 6, as good as any top 6 in the country, as the third quarter comes to an end. Princeton on a roll. They've scored 7 straight goals. Harvard has gone more than 30 minutes without a goal. 12-3 Tigers. Old Spice College Lacrosse is brought to you by the Old Spice Wild Collection. Answer the smell of the wild. And Nissan, innovation that excites.
Wouldn't it be cool if we took the already great Sentra apart and completely reimagined it with best-in-class combined MPG? Not to mention more interior room than Corolla and Civic. And a technology suite with Bluetooth, navigation, and other handy stuff. Yeah, that would be cool. Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra. It's our most innovative Sentra ever. Nissan, innovation that excites.
You can go with the flow when it comes to equity investing, or spark a change in your investment approach by adding diversification with an entire sector of the S&P 500, like utilities. XLU combines all the utility components of the S&P 500 into one ETF with liquidity, all-day tradability, and transparency. Ready to add diversification to your equity investments? Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Go to sectorspiders.com for prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully. Visit us at sectorspiders.com.
Baseball is back, and Time Warner Cable lets you enjoy it better with the MLB Extra Innings package. Get up to 80 live out-of-market games a week, games in HD, and enhanced viewing features. Watch your favorite teams and players no matter where you live. And for a limited time, get our regular season offer. MLB Extra Innings on Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
Rediscover the joy of being behind the wheel of a luxury performance vehicle. At Infiniti of Charlotte, you can take advantage of the most attractive offers on our entire lineup of new Infinitis. Be the envy of your entire neighborhood in the brand new G37. Lease a new G37 sedan for just $279 a month, or a new G37 Coupe for $319 a month. Rediscover the joy of driving in your new Infiniti today. Inspired performance, Infiniti of Charlotte. InfinityofCharlotte.com.
It was a 5-3 game after 15 minutes of play. All Princeton since then. The Tigers have scored 7 straight goals. Harvard scoreless for more than 30 minutes. Sophomore Mike McDonald, 4 goals for Princeton. And if the Tigers hold on to this 9-goal lead, they will clinch a spot in the Ivy League tournament. And now a question for Chris Bates. Next week, Princeton takes on Cornell in the Big City Classic over at MetLife Stadium. Eric Sand-Chagrin making just his 2nd career start, first of the season tonight. Hasn't really been tested much, but he's played well. Do you start him next week against Cornell?
It's a great question. You know, what do you do? You know, and I think that given the fact that they've now clinched, you might as well see what he can do against Cornell. If he's able to have some success against Cornell, that would then bode well for them in the Ivy tournament. If he doesn't do that well and kind of Cornell gets the best of him, then it gives you the opportunity to then go back to O'Connor.
When you do something like that, though, going back and forth with goalies this late in the season, what's sort of the trickle down, the domino effect in the locker room? Is it akin to a team maybe not having an answer at quarterback and nobody's sure, and you kind of want somebody to claim the position, and if you have 2, you don't have any?
Absolutely. If you've got 2, you don't have 1. You know, that you don't have any, as you said. So it is challenging. That position is something that it always is viewed as a leadership type of role, kind of last line of defense. It's a difficult situation for the coaching staff to manage and massage.
White with a good pass in. Harvard ends the scoring drought. Sean McDonough, the freshman, off the feet from Alex White.
Been wondering when White was going to show up, and he does just a really great job of drifting off ball or fading off ball to create space. Here you see, I'm sorry, White's on ball. He generates that contact, and you see McDonough flash off ball in order to create space. My apologies, but White is just a really great dynamic dodger. You see him with that left hand, always gets to the right spots on the field.
First goal in 31 minutes and 4 seconds for Harvard. The freshman from Huntington Bay, New York, Sean McDonough, ending the scoring drought for the Crimson. Dwyer lost it. Another turnover for the Crimson, and that is 15.
At this point, for Harvard, you really want to start creating quality possessions in order to generate momentum, as crazy as it might sound, for the next game. I think while obviously you always want to think you can come back and win games, this is kind of one of those one possession at a time type of scenarios. And even if you don't win this game, you want to build good habits because you're still in the hunt to make the tournament. You just are going to have to get a win down the road. It doesn't appear as though it's going to be this game.
Certainly this weekend, a lot of important games that will affect potential seeding down the road in the NCAA tournament. Conference ramifications as Will Rotatori gets on the board for Princeton, back up to a 9-goal advantage for the Tigers. Villanova, Notre Dame. Johns Hopkins Navy tomorrow.
Before we get to that discussion, Rotatori, again, an invert specialist here, does a fantastic job of stepping upfield, and then you'll see him drop his hands. When he drops his hands, he creates a better shooting angle so that he can reach around Krieger. And I think any team watching at home, they got to notice that Krieger, that low and away spot, seems to be the one that Princeton's picking on, particularly from that spot of the field. So if that was the case, if Princeton was able to scout that, you've really got to get a lot of credit to the coaching staff to hone in on that, because I think Krieger has been, as you mentioned off the break, the start of the game, one of the better goalies in the Ivy League, being tutored by Adam Gettleman, national champion at Virginia at that position.
Both teams even at the X, 10 face-offs, 1 apiece for Princeton and Harvard.
I mean, it also might be just a clear shot disparity. And you look at the end of the 3 quarters, it was 39-17. That is just a clear discrepancy.
And this is a Harvard offense that did struggle early in the season. Their first 7 games, they averaged a little more than 8.5 goals. Over their last 5, though, they're north of 11 goals per game. And really, it hasn't been bad shots. It's just been turnovers. It's been a lack of opportunities. You pointed out to the shot discrepancy.
Yeah, without a doubt. They just haven't generated as many shots as they need, particularly on an untested goalie.
Ambler dives. Looks like he landed in the crease. A couple of flags go up. Was he pushed in the crease? That's the question.
Most difficult call.
There you go.
You're going to see Ambler again get underneath, and then, yeah, that's a pretty clear push. But this is the most difficult call, I think, in the sport.
It's like the charge block call in basketball. Semicircle and all, but they've got the full circle here.
They do it, and really what the referees are looking for is, where is the stick? If it rides up the back, and there's an extension of the arms, they're going to call it.
Penalty on Joe Petrucci.
Oh, he's got Schreiber.
Here's Fracaro. Senior fires high, 11 seconds left on the man up. Ambler behind the cage. He wears your old number, 14. Hard low shot by Fracaro, and Ambler closest to it. Princeton keeps it, 1 second left before we're back at even strength.
There's no coincidence there. There's no passing of the numbers or anything like that.
Were you disappointed? So soon after, less than 10 years after you leave, they're handing out your number?
year after I left, a sophomore defenseman wore it. So I can tell you that there's no sort of tradition.
Good ball movement by Princeton. And that's Jake Fricaro. Give him 3. He's got a 5-point game.
This first 6 is right there with any 6 in the country. And you've got to respect Schreiber when he dodges. He generates that double on that short stick, and then Orban just does a fantastic job of transferring from one side to the other. And when you get any Fricaro, it doesn't matter if it's Jake, if it's Jeff, on that spot of the field, they can shoot at any angle. So you see Jake there drop his hands and keep it low.
It's a lacrosse family, as so many families in this sport are. Of course, you've got the Stanwicks. There's, what, 8 of them?
Look around there, ballpark.
If you're a lacrosse fan and bored one day, play Name That Stanwick. But you got Jeff Fricaro, Jake Fricaro, sister Jackie plays at Villanova. Younger brother Joey in high school.
I'm sure his 2 brothers have already started having conversations with him.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's just a matter of, do you want to blaze your own trail, or?
But that's one of the great things about this sport, because in so many ways it is a legacy sport. Opportunity there for Harvard, and a great save by Sans Chagrin. He hasn't been tested too much, but he was there. 8 saves now for the sophomore.
Yeah, here the U view on the left side of your screen. You're going to see Sans Chagrin. The big thing here he does here is he doesn't come off that pipe. He stays big. So often offensive players want to come what's called near pipe. And if a goalie comes off that near pipe, now the offensive player has 2 options where he can shoot. If you hold that pipe and stay disciplined, it really limits the offensive player's options.
McGrath controls on that right wing. Plays it right goal line, extended to McDonald. All right, Ryan, I'm going to put your bravado to the test here. At halftime, off the air, you told me you can see a goal coming 5-6 seconds before. So if you see it coming,
I got 8 minutes, huh?
I want to know, yes.
Okay.
And now they've got to get a shot on goal with the stall warning and the timer in effect.
I'm supposed to keep talking and analyzing too, right? I can't just watch and call out goal when I see one. Ooh, good handle there by Zimmerman.
There's been a lack of crisp passes.
They got numbers here. This should be one. This should be one.
Dwyer had to pull it back.
Good recovery there by Strabo.
Freshman on freshman.
I think they're going to be seeing each other a few times over the next 4 years.
Here's Dwyer. Fakes the pass.
Princeton drops into its zone on that invert.
Philip Wagley. 3rd midfield line in now for Harvard. Wagley, Henry Mumford, and Deke Burns.
You don't see that very often, but I think this is Wojcik's commitment to getting guys in, building depth, especially with where their score is right now. Ooh, tough one.
Another turnover for Harvard.
Well, I almost had one there, Anish, but Strabo kind of...
He got in your way?
Yeah.
16 turnovers for the Crimson. ESPNU's coverage of Old Spice College lacrosse continues Saturday. Good doubleheader. Villanova taking on Notre Dame at 2 Eastern. Navy Johns Hopkins comes your way at 4 Eastern. Really a can't-lose game for Hopkins, and for Villanova, they've played really one of the toughest schedules in the country. They're 4-0 in the Big East. They got beat up in non-conference early. You look at the resume and you think, listen, this could be a dangerous team in the tournament if it got in. But the #1 priority for the Wildcats, get to 500. They're still 5-6.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be one of the more tricky situations for the committee because they don't have a bad loss. But as you said, if they're not at 500, they don't have a prayer. So they gotta get there first.
That's a rule. You have to be at least 500 to have a chance to get into the tournament. Coming up on the final 6 minutes here at Sherrod Field, it's really been a complete effort by Princeton. Since the first quarter, Harvard has been outscored 9-1. Timeout Princeton with 5:54 to go. Mike McDonald's got 4 goals. Jake Frickaro's got 5 points. All Tigers.
He was different somehow. I was afraid, then seduced, then in the car. I never had a chance.
My name is Nikki Hill. I play soccer at the University of Georgia. I've always had a passion for soccer since I was little. You know, the first time you step on the field and score that goal or save that goal, and ever since it's just stuck. My personal mentality when I'm on the field is I'm playing for my teammates and my coaches, and I know that I'm not going to leave anything on the field. You know, play for 90 minutes till I'm literally at the point of exhaustion.
To the University of Arizona at Hillenbrand Stadium, and the Wildcats are all smiles after a walk-off win last night in extra innings. Can UCLA bounce back tonight? It's game 2 of the series. The Cats and the Bruins coming up next.
Welcome back to Old Spice College Lacrosse. Anaïs Schroff here with former Princeton All-American Ryan Boyle. The Tigers less than 6 minutes away from clinching a spot in the Ivy League tournament. Princeton closes the year. The regular season, that is, before the Ivy League tournament starts in a couple of weeks. They close with Cornell. It's a neutral site game at MetLife Stadium, part of the Big City Classic next week. Harvard will still have a shot to get into the Ivy League tournament, but they'll need some dominoes to fall in their favor. They finish the regular season next week against Yale. Schreiber has his shot saved that time by Krieger. Good defense there by the freshman Bobby Dovniak. Flag on the play as Harvard tries to scoop up the ground ball.
White 13 slash 1 minute personal foul.
Penalties on Kip Orban, so Harvard with the best man up in the Ivy will have that extra man advantage for a full minute.
Look for Harvard here to get Schwartz into that top middle position. Deadly shot, also really good at feeding the corners. And then Vanderveld, love his motion, absolutely love his motion. And Dwyer on that low left spot is also really crafty finisher as well as a feeder.
Schwartz has been very quiet in this game, have not called his name much. And that's been the story of the game for Harvard, another turnover. I had a "May the Schwartz be with you" goal call and everything.
What Princeton did there strategically was they actually shut off Vanderveld with a short stick, so showing him a lot of respect.
Still a chance. Dovniak to Dwyer.
Got to get this pole off. I don't know why he's hanging out. We got plenty of time on man up.
Alex White, the team's leading goal scorer. That's his 20th of the season.
Alex White made advantage goal at 4:35, and the Crimson trail 14-5.
White does a great job of taking advantage of this kind of unsettled situation. He actually dodges in man up, but I think Princeton kind of expected Harvard to set up, as I said, expecting the pole to get off and for them to set up. White recognizes Princeton in a kind of indecisive mode, takes advantage of it, and he's got such a clean lefty shot. He's really a dynamic player, especially as a dodger. I really like his game.
And what's been a tough game, a good moment for White, who is from New Jersey. Played his high school ball at Del Barton, originally from Summit. Del Barton, one of those New Jersey lacrosse factories. They also produce a lot of football players. Mark Strabo comes up with the ground ball.
What impressed me there about Strabo was the fact that he actually put on the brakes as he got to midfield. He had Kirby waiting for him, the Crimson Pole. He recognized that and put on the brakes and then brought the ball back.
Don't forget, following our game, Pac-12 softball next here on ESPNU. A couple of top 25 teams, UCLA and Arizona from Tucson. Princeton needed this in a lot of ways. Last 3 games, they'd been struggling. They'd been shorthanded. Chris Bates told us it made it tough to practice. And especially after last weekend where they lost to Dartmouth, which that's a loss that probably knocked them out of the at-large picture according to a lot of projections. Dartmouth's a bad loss. There's no other way around it. It's a team that's not in the RPI top 20, and it hurts you when the selection committee looks at your resume.
Without a doubt, especially late in the season. Harvard does a great job there. Krieger comes out of the cage so they can try to create a double team on ball. But once the stall's on, then he retreats to the cage knowing the 30-second shot clocks. So credit Coach Wojcik's staff for having them prepared for those situations. That really shows a well-prepared team for that particular situation.
Harvard comes away with it. Looked like it would have been a violation anyway, and we just want to clarify our clock sometimes won't match up with the officials' count because the final 10 seconds, it's a manual count on the field.
Really puts the referees in a tough spot.
The players
frankly.
too sometimes.
Yeah. I would be shocked if they had the same mechanism in next year.
Here we are almost through a full season with the new rules. What's been your big takeaway on how that's affected teams?
I think the biggest thing that no one talks about enough is the elimination of the 10-second call. I've brought this up before, but now you only have to touch it in once. You're able to spread the field and not feel like you always got to touch it in and kind of reset things. By just having the 30-second clear in, then once you get that, then you can just spread out, relax, move the ball, get where you need to be without having to reset and then kind of get back into things.
Here's Deke Burns, guarded by Raby, and a score for Harvard. Murphy Vanderveld, his 14th of the season. All have come in the last 6 games.
I guess I can't take credit if I gave a hand gesture for that goal.
I saw the hand gesture. I'll give you credit.
What really impresses me here is Vanderveld's versatility. Yep. When you watch him on tape, his right hand shot is so crisp, it's so clean, it's so fundamentally sound. For him to then also score a lefty underhand, low to low, offside, that shows the dedication that player has on his own. You don't have that type of shot just by showing up to practice.
He's really been a big boost for the second midfield for the Crimson. The first 10 games of his career, which included the first 7 games of this season, he did not have a single goal. And then Chris Wojcik rolling the dice a little bit, trying to find a spark plug offensively, threw Vanderveld into the mix. He had a big game last week against Penn, 3 goals. and he has scored 14 in his last 6 since getting an opportunity, and those are the only goals he scored in 2 years with Harvard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a real bright spot moving forward. Anybody that can stretch the defense, it's like a three-point shooter in basketball. If you have an outside shot, a consistent outside shot, and can stretch the defense, you're going to find your way on a lacrosse field. A coach is going to play you if you can score goals. They're just that much of a luxury.
Brendan DiTomaso in for Princeton. Goalie out of the cage. Final 30 seconds of this one. Princeton with the win will clinch a berth in the Ivy League tournament. They get Cornell next week at MetLife Stadium. Give us your early impressions on that matchup.
It's such a traditional rivalry.
Do you start Sans Chagrin?
I think, as we talked about earlier, I think you do. You know, he's picked up the W. The team has responded to that decision. And if he's able to have success, now you got something cooking going in the Ivy League tournament. If he doesn't, you're able to still then kind of, for lack of better words, kind of fall back. You still have O'Connor as a backup option that's really fortunate to have that.
Sans Chagrin very solid in goal. The defense in the half field terrific for Princeton, and offensively 14 goals. This was a complete effort.
Absolutely, you know, and I think hearts out to Harvard, and the team is a tough spot, but Princeton really showed, you know, the ability offensively to be explosive, but also manage the game. And by doing that, it put their defense in a spot where they could hold Harvard to 6 goals.
Princeton with a 14-6 win against Harvard clinches a spot in the Ivy League tournament. For Ryan Boyle, I'm Anish Shroff. That's all from Princeton. We now get you out to Tucson, Arizona. Pac-12 softball. It's 19th ranked UCLA against number 25 Arizona.
For a long time, UCLA and Arizona is probably one of the biggest rivalries ever.
Bates finds a pitch that she likes, and Beebe goes yard. A grand slam to tie it up for the Bruins.
Always had great respect for the rivalry because it's always competitive.
Wilson launches that one to deep right field, and that is gone. The walk-off for Hallie Wilson wins it for Arizona.
It can come down to the last pitch in those ball games, so you got to watch it to the end.
Well, if anybody can find a way to match the drama of last night, it would be these two teams. And we welcome you back.